Hey everybody, my name is John from Community Life Church, and this is Meals Ready to Eat from the Bible. We would really appreciate a like and subscribe. Hello, today's message is Jesus came to serve. The greatest serve, the least demand to be served. We see that all around us and in the world and how that works out. Let's go see what Jesus has to say about serving in the church. Well, Jesus did not come to earth to be served, but to serve us. And this is true even though he is God. So therefore, we must serve him. But how do we do that? Well, by serving others. And this principle, this idea, this concept we see repeated throughout the New Testament, that Jesus did not come to be served, but to serve, and he calls us to serve. Now, today we're going to take a look at Mark 10:41 through 45. Let's just pop that up on the screen here. But before we read this, we see two of his disciples, James and John, are arguing over who has a better place in heaven and who's more important, so on and so forth. And Jesus answers them, and then the other apostles start to complain. So anyway, this is how Jesus addressed this point while they're walking on the way to Jerusalem. So let's just read this, Mark 10:41 through 45. Hearing this, the 10 began to feel indignant with James and John. Calling them to himself, Jesus said to them, "You know that those who are recognized as rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great men exercise authority over them. But it is not to be this way among you, but whoever wishes to become great among you shall be your servant. And whoever wishes to be first among you shall be slave of all. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many." But to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. That's Mark 10:41 through 45. Very important passage in the gospel. So let's break this down and just see what God is saying to us today and how he wants us to live and to serve. Right now, in verse 43, he says, this is not the way you're to do things. You're not to do this. And he addresses his followers in this, and he's addressing you and me, and he's addressing the local church, the big church, and the people in the church. Okay? Worldly leaders demand to be served. So if you want to be a worldly leader, you can demand people serve you. We cannot do the same, very plainly, as Jesus said. And many things in the kingdom of God, in the church, are the reverse of what we see in the world. So we got to be careful when we start to bring the world into the church. A lot of the stuff in the world should be flipped around, and particularly in this case. So those who are least in the world, or in the worldly view, are not afraid to serve all, the least and the greatest. We want to be those same people in the eyes of God who are willing to serve all, or the greatest. The point of ministry, therefore, is not to gain attention, not to have stuff, but to serve. And it should be the same in the church and at home and on the job and everywhere we go. Jesus did not miss an opportunity to serve. We see this in the beginning of the Gospel of Mark when Jesus gets in the boat, goes across the sea, and visits the man in the graveyard. Jesus had this plan to go see him and to get him and to serve him, and that he healed him and then sent him out to serve the people he came from by preaching the gospel. So just as Jesus did not miss an opportunity to serve, neither should we. We should look to go to the place God has sent us and to serve people there. All right? Jesus taught this on the way to Jerusalem. So we're all walking on the way to Jerusalem, going to that place that's the very important place in their lives where the cultural and religious and political authorities all dwelt. Covered some of that last week. He was going to be tortured and killed and rise from the dead. All right? So the people, the church that he created when he rose from the dead, as we read in Acts chapter 2, is one that serves and is full of people who serve. And the people of the resurrection are, in fact, those who serve, as it's enumerated here. And that, indeed, is good news. Thanks for watching. You can join us Sunday morning, 10:30 at 20 West Main Street, Catskill, New York. Can't make it? You can stream our services live on YouTube or Facebook, which you can find on our web at clchurch.cc. That's clchurch.cc. Don't forget to follow us throughout the week for devotions and times of sharing from leaders and staff. Leave a comment, leave a like, whatever you want. And thanks once again.